Hello and welcome. This is Pam. Today I'm going to be talking about how parasites disrupt hormones and they drive chronic disease. If we haven't met, my name is Pam Bartha. I'm the author of Become a Wellness Champion and the founder of Live Disease Free. I can speak about this topic because I work with people every day, especially women that are middle-aged, maybe premenopausal, postmenopausal, having all kinds of symptoms like cravings and mood swings and hot flashes, daytime, nighttime, so many different symptoms, headaches, digestive changes like gas, bloating, things like that. And a lot of us women believe that it's hormones, that our hormones are out of balance, and we go to our doctor and our doctor gives us, hormones, whether it's bioidentical or synthetic, really feeling that our hormones are out of balance when actually the real cause is the disruption in our microbiome. The parasites, they impact us in many ways. They really impact what we think are hormonal symptoms, but they also do impact the levels of hormones in our bodies, the production of hormones. So we're going to talk about that today. If we haven't met, my name is Pam Bartha, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis over 35 years ago. By the grace of God, I learned early on that what I was dealing with was a parasitic infestation. We have learned a lot since that time. I went back to school, got a science degree. Since then, I've been teaching, like I started with the school system, but I moved into coaching and teaching and educating people how to take back their health and their life like I have. And I constantly learn. I do a ton of research. Make sure to check out our blog post, livediseasefree.com. Look at under blog. Just look at the different topics and go through and scan my notes. It's really quick. You can watch videos there. You will really understand what you're dealing with if you're dealing with any type of chronic disease, multiple sclerosis and other. And today we're really addressing like how parasites impact our hormones. And it's so profound what I've learned from my students. Whenever somebody starts working with me, I just say, with all humble due respect, in our experience, what we've seen is that all of these horrible mood swings and day sweats and night sweats and cravings and all these other horrible symptoms, they're not caused directly by your hormones, but they're caused by parasites. And up until just like a week ago, I felt that it was more like the parasites are like more active at certain times of the month when we have certain levels of hormones. And that's been shown. And I've shared that in my book, Become a Wellness Champion. But we've also now discovered that parasites can actually change the level of hormones inside of us. Really shocking. So this is a topic that I'm just scratching the surface of today, but it makes you really start to think about a lot of different things. So the title of the study is called Sex Hormone Changes Induced by the Parasite. And this is a tapeworm parasite, and it leads to feminization of the male host in mice. So this is a mouse study, but a lot of times they do animal studies and then they take it into human studies. And we are mammals and mice are mammals, so we have very, very similar physiology. This study has shown that when they took this tapeworm and they infected it into mice, into female and into male mice, so they had a control group where they did not infect the mice, and they had the experimental group where they did infect the mice with this tapeworm. And so they said female mice are more susceptible to this specific tapeworm infection than males are. However, after a month, the parasite load increases massively in both genders, reaching thousands of parasites per host. And so when you think, well, we could get a parasite, but we're not going to have thousands of worms. Well, I don't know, with the work we do with our students are passing hundreds of worms and they're still passing them. So, and mice are so small compared to us. So could Could that be true? Could it be like not just an experimental thing, but could it be in real life? Absolutely. The possibility of hormonal changes in the infected mice was investigated here. So what they did is sex hormone levels were measured in different periods of the infection. In male mice, the serum estradiol increased to levels 200 times their normal values. Okay, so I'll say that again. In male mice, serum, so blood, estradiol, which is used to make estrogen, increased to levels 200 times their normal values, while those of testosterone decreased 90% relative to the healthy mice that did not receive this tapeworm. So these poor male mice, they got their estradiol increased over 200 times normal values, and the male hormone that they should have decreased by 90%. You can just imagine how that is going to impact the mouse. So infected female mice also showed a slight increase in estrogen blood levels after 8 weeks of infection. Conclusion, this parasite, this tapeworm infection triggers a feminization process in the infected host. So it literally feminized these male mice. In the past, we knew that when there were changes in our hormone levels, for example, when our progesterone is higher, that is the 2 weeks leading up to our menses, then certain parasites are going to be more active, and they can actually measure that in our blood. They can measure higher amounts of antibodies against candida in our blood, for example. So we might not even have PMS symptoms, but they can actually measure that. And so candida will be more active just before our menses, but other parasites are too. And this is with the rise and fall of certain hormones in our body. So that's one way that these parasites are impacted by hormones, and it drives chronic disease. But this is a whole new field that I'm going to go deeper and deeper into, because with our students, like, we're seeing that not only by treating parasites do they get their mobility back, they feel happy again, their cognitive function is better, they have clear minds, they can process things, they're able to concentrate and focus. But these parasites also cause huge amounts of depression and anxiety, and can actually make us feel uncomfortable in our body, which is crazy. And I've heard that from some of our students. So that is huge. So like when you all of a sudden, like after maybe since you're in your teens, of course, when we're in our teens, we don't always feel comfortable in our body, but then nobody is or knows about this, that these parasites can also actually be causing a problem because they're disrupting our hormones. And Dr. Amen is a wonderful doctor who studies brains. He's written several books, and he's like, if your brain is sick, you don't have free will. So if these parasites are impacting our mood, impacting our ability to think, impacting how we feel about ourselves, right, then we aren't going to necessarily make the same choices that we would make if we had a really healthy brain. It's so profound what we're learning in working with the students in the Live Disease-Free plan as they're recovering. So and for women that join our program that they're like, oh, I'm on bioidentical hormones, so that should be safe. And I'm like, well, hormones are such powerful compounds that we just don't really understand how significantly they impact our health. Like they can, for example, in my book I wrote, they can increase your blood sugar levels. That will feed the parasites inside of you. They can also suppress the inflammatory immune response, and that will also benefit parasites because then our immune system is going to fight the parasites as well. It's not going to. When women, let's say they're joining the Live Disease-Free plan because they want to recover from chronic diseases by treating the cause, which are parasites, and then they're like, well, I'm on these hormones because I have premenopausal symptoms, or my hormones are out of balance, or I'm postmenopausal. And I'm like, well, usually what we have seen is that these day sweats and night sweats and cravings and all these symptoms are caused by infections. And as you treat the infections and you give your body the proper nutrition it needs, then your body just produces the amount of hormones that it's supposed to, that it is genetically programmed to produce. And they go, okay, well, that's interesting. So then they end up coming off of these bioidentical or synthetic hormones, birth control, a hormone replacement therapy also. Our government in Canada on their website years ago, and they said that any woman who takes hormone replacement therapy for 5 years or longer, they double their risk of arthritis, inflammatory conditions like arthritis. And so what I've seen in our students that have been on hormones, they literally will have, endometriosis, they can have fibroid cysts, they can have polycystic ovarian syndrome, they can have other inflammatory conditions like arthritis and other diseases. And so it actually makes the infections worse in time. That's the key. So what's better is to treat the parasites and recover from these symptoms, naturally allow your body to produce the correct amount of hormones that your body is genetically programmed to make, and then you're healthy. Even for bioidentical hormones, make sure to read the insert so you understand the adverse effects. You understand how these powerful compounds, how they can drive disease. So if you have just found me for the first time, what I would recommend is just go to livediseasefree.com or even YouTube. You can find a bunch of videos. But the nice thing about our website, livediseasefree.com, is there you can go to our blog post and you can look at specific topics. You can look at the worms that our students are passing, roundworms, look at flukes. I've got a 1-page cheat sheet you can share with your doctor about all kinds of research showing that MS is an infectious disease. That is to build up your belief. That is to build up your oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for. And then you can listen to the successes of our students that have taken the Live Disease Free plan, followed it, have recovered. Take some Kleenex because you'll have very happy tears. And then you can watch my masterclass training at any time. You'll find it above or below this video, in the description usually of this video. When you watch the masterclass training, it's kind of a summary of some of the more common parasites that are linked to MS, plus many success stories, and then the steps we take to recover. So watch that masterclass training, and then if you feel that this is what I need, this is the direction I need to go, then you can fill out a form, and then you will be able to book a time to chat with me to make sure it's a good fit for you. But before you and I chat, make sure to also watch the Coach-a-thon, because that goes into a lot more detail about this whole process, so that by the time you and I meet, you'll have good questions for me. I can go right to looking at what you've been through, your health journey, what you've done, what you've tried, where you're at, and then you can ask me questions about the plan, and I can just make sure to help you to figure out if it's a good fit, and if it is, to get you off to a really strong start. That's the important thing, so that you can be like these two students that are having miraculous, nothing short of miraculous improvements. And so this is where I would challenge you to think, is it your hormones or is it the parasites, right? It is, in all of the people I've worked with, it is parasites that are causing the hormonal disruption, and they are driving the chronic disease. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you appreciate the research, we will have a newsletter. Make sure that you go to livediseasefree.com if you want to have our newsletter every week. There you will find, you can opt in with your name and email address, and we will send you the newsletter. It will have my condensed notes, and it will have a condensed version of this video so that you can share this with others. You can talk about it with your practitioner. And please, if you are on any kind of hormone therapy, please look at the adverse effects, like how this drug works in the body and what the adverse effects are, because sometimes we don't realize that the adverse effects can be actually worse than what we're taking it for. So with that, please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the research I'm sharing with you. That helps this, like these platforms, to share it out to other people. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next week. Take care and bye-bye for now.